Hello, we're back for episode 3, and today we're 3 for 3. We have 3 whole diary entries of despair to read to you today. Only one of them from someone that I actually know. So, we're getting out there. This podcast itself has become more social than all of its viewers combined. So I'll just jump right into my first email that was originally supposed to be for the podcast I'm ripping off, Depression Chamber, but instead it's taken a humbler turn and decided to come pay a visit to Dipshit Radio. Here we are. So I'll just hop right into it, and interestingly it's been titled The Boy with the Red Coat and the Red Book. So already we're going sicko mode with the theatrics here. Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Note to Dipshit Radio. This was originally meant for the Depression Chamber stream, and so you'll see it a lot in the writing. Just remind the viewers. So hello, Mumkey. Thank you for reading this. I was worried you would skip over it since my last submission was so dog shit. Well, at least he's self-aware. Or maybe you didn't read the poorly structured and written farce, which would be amazing. Brackets, don't waste the stream's time by reading it. This chamber is mostly for me to vent, as well as for the chat to relate if they deal with similar shit, so you don't have to give any advice. Seeing something that's relatable makes the human brain feel understood and at peace. Even if this isn't Depression Chamber worthy, let's get down to business. Let's talk about the dud of 8th grade. I'm 14 and haven't had friends since 3rd grade. I'm a bored loner who dresses in a red double-breasted trench coat, though I do sometimes wear a black one or a blue cardigan. Most kids know me for my fashion choice and surprisingly don't think I'm a school shooter. Most likely because I'm pretty extroverted and colorful, but because of my autism and Asperger's I don't have any friends. Of course I have a few acquaintances, but I only see them at school and talk to them so I'm not completely lonely at school. They can't become real friends because I have nothing substantial in common with any of them. It's very isolating and makes me scared for when I go off to trade school where I don't have my family. Like Tomoko, I get most of my social interaction from them. The California middle school I went to is infested with a certain kind of loser jackass that you may know of. I dub them the knuckleheads. They're the precursor to what Juice Boy calls dirtbags. Distinguishing qualities of these people are their trashiness, craving to fit into the social collective, gross behavior in the locker room, desperation to get laid but fail to ever pursue it, social meandering, liking only the most popular things, having a certain arrogant, obnoxious frat boy way of acting and speaking, etc. Individually they're interchangeable, and their cliques are more like sectors of the knucklehead social collective. Don Bracken summarizes them perfectly. Look at them interact with one another as if they were chimps in the jungle. They try terribly hard to stand out as the leader of the pack, but the sad truth is none of them are intellectually superior enough to lead a horse to water. Not only are they complete imbeciles, but they are incredibly narcissistic creatures. Narcissism is fine and dandy when the subject is deserving of respect, but I cannot find a single person worthy of my respect in this loathsome pack of concupiscent, idiotic beasts. End quote. It's unworkable for me to fit into a knucklehead clique since I dress uniquely, brackets, they all wear the same generic hoodies brands, have a broader range of interests. I find interest in taboo things like school shootings or dark comedy, have a general distaste for disgusting behavior, and I'm generally much smarter and more mature than them. When I was a year younger and lived in Southern California, I was desperate for friends, and one of the knucklehead cliques invited me. Little to my knowledge, I had fallen into their trap. They'll take interest in uniques, brackets, not to sound like a pretentious contrarian, like me. Make you feel belonged and important. Gain your trust so you tell them personal things. Slowly chip away at you with minor gaslighting and making fun of your insecurities, and they'll gradually escalate this up to major gaslighting, bullying, blackmail, spreading rumors, half-truths, and when you're about to leave they'll start apologizing and being nice, just to rope you back in for another round. This entire thing ruined my 7th grade, and even when I had broken away they harassed me obsessively. When I moved to the Bay Area I hoped these types of kids would disappear, but they didn't. There were more of them and they were more rancid. The non-knuckleheads are all just lefties since it's California. If you talk about something like oil, Donald Trump in a positive light, or how wars of conquest can be beneficial, they'll go full libtard in 2 seconds flat. A pattern I've been seeing with 80% of lefties is that they have some LGBT orientation paired along with clinical depression or anxiety. Make of that what you will. I was left with very few options, so I chose none. At lunch I often walked around creating stories, pondering, and talking with my acquaintances. It was lonely and pathetic as fuck, but it was better than the alternatives. Up until the quarantine, I socially experimented by making a writing club. Though the thing ended in a week, in my book it was a success. I was able to fabricate a little bit of that magic friendships are built on. I met people I shared interests in, and I made a semi-girlfriend, brackets, say semi-girlfriend because we really just good friends, and when I asked she told me she was gay. After high school starts and quarantine's over, I'll start up another club. If you haven't guessed by the Dawn quote and by the title of this depression chamber, I'm a fan of your book. Like a religious level mega fan of the Triflers. I even set up a cringy little shrine to it once. It was the first thing I ever bought with my debit card, and it was love at first sight the moment I opened the PDF up and read it. The intrigue and crossover from the perspectives propelled me forward through its pages. When I finished it, I could say without a doubt that it's the best thing I ever read. S.E. Hilton is nothing on the Triflers. Comparing the Outsiders to the Triflers is like comparing Wolfenstein 3D to Rise of the Triad or Star Wars to Warhammer 40k. Even though the later is less popular, it is superior. The characters and the sum of it just made something special. Describing what makes it feel so good is like describing the feeling of listening to a certain song. If I had to pair this book with a song, I would say Bullets by Archive meshes very well. This book basically got me through 7th grade, and not because of the school shooting shit, more of the silently subverting all that oppose you part. Besides the shrine, I've done all this other shit in honor of the book I'm still proud of. When you weren't selling physical copies, I decided to make one myself. I took the hardcover from another book, printed the Triflers, and sewed it into a block, then glue-gunned the block to the spine. I've affectionately nicknamed it the IED, Improvised English Device. Ever since I finished your book, I've started craving anything related to the story of the letter, journal, and manifesto. I've downloaded fan art, archived reviews, reimagined scenes in my head, and even taken screenshots of your DMs where you talk about the process of making it. I know that sounds stalkery, and this is gonna sound pretty pathetic, but you gotta remember this is like a religion for me. Fuck, I've even tracked the school where the book takes place at. Try not to put the name of the school in the book next time. Also, how good are the classes at Elmhurst College? They must be pretty worth it if you're willing to ride a bus for an hour to get to class. Just fucking with you. I've tried to get as many people into the book as possible. I've gotten the bipolar Discord user Zykara to read it and do a review. My former therapist, brackets former because that bitch ratted on me for biking late at night. A felon who lives in a commerce block some way down, brackets he got convicted for domestic abuse, but he's a pretty good guy and wants to live an honest and productive life. And a friend on Reddit by the name of Jazzy Hands. Now back to my depressing daily school life before quarantine. Classes were a chore as well as socializing, most of which was English. Everything was busy work, and Mrs. Kennedy was the most entitled, stuck-up old ass hag around. She's so expectant of students obeying her that if you were to get up very fast while she's talking to you, she would go apeshit. We slave away at boring, strict MLA assignments. 90% of what we do is reports, and fun little book reports. Dry copy and pasted sections of larger books that we would be better to read entirely, and the 10% of the time where we do something creative, it's usually some strict form of poetry, and you can't have guns in the story, brackets, as many of my classmates found out in their Halloween poems. Of course you can have knives, swords, clubs, bows, and other weapons you'd find in an LGBT fantasy. Guns have this unnatural taboo in society that really pisses me off. There's very little logic that should make a firearm be seen as this evil, shocking entity because it can kill. It is a weapon just like all the weapons you can write about. They're meant to kill. Just another example of the brain-liquefying retardation gun control causes. If gun grabbers knew anything about firearms, they wouldn't be pushing for gun control, and my school would be a little bit less of a lefty shithole. I'm gonna watch some Boogaloo memes to make me feel better. It kinda sucks being one of the smartest and most self-aware kids in school. You have look and are just so disappointed at your peers. Often when I'm extra bored in class, I imagine a school shooting happening. We go under the tables and act like a jackass. Guys, I think Caesar is gay. Did you know a well-placed AMFO bomb can blow up that wall? True fact. So if he has them, say this is a gun-free zone so he doesn't shoot us. Guys, I have an expired N-word pass and I'm gonna use it. Say N-word. I guess there's no shame into admitting I'm into school shootings and such. Mostly the story of the shooter, his gear, and his tactics. I have a lot of online friends in the Columbiner community. You know, the groups of people that are villainized by the media for glorifying the shooters? In reality, they're mostly peaceful and 60% are teenage girls. So if you want a true crime girlfriend TM, then just go on Instagram or Wattpad and start searching. If you're interested in school shootings and want to discuss them with like-minded individuals, don't go on a r/Columbine or r/mass killers. You won't have any fun. Discussions that point out a positive quality are instantly deleted, and because of the no glorifying policy, every comment section is full of retards reminding everyone that these are very evil people. If you want to have some fun, go on r/Columbine memes. Other places I recommend are Tumblr, Instagram, and especially Wattpad. It's a little guilty pleasure of mine to read fan fictions where the self-insert of the author falls in love with Dylan Klebold or something. Surprisingly, a lot of school shooter fan fictions seem to be written better than fan fictions from more contemporary media. The best online friend, since I consider online friends separate from real-life friends, is a guy by the username of Jazzy Hands, since that would be what I always call him. We've bonded over the Triflers, Better Call Saul, interests in business, edgy and dark humor, and lots of other shit. I just wish he wasn't on the other side of the country so we could be real-life friends, not online ones. It's sad because if we knew each other in person we'd be inseparable, not romantically, but you get my gist. Quarantine has been the best thing since I don't have to go to school. The teachers don't know how to give hard assignments digitally, so schools go on easy mode and it's easy as fuck to cheat with online learning. Still wish I was at school for the only class I truly care about, history. But nothing's perfect. I hope all of you in the chat got something out of this. I'm gonna watch Epic KFC Flute Drop on Josh Who TV to feel emotion again. New shit I would like to talk about. There's one depression chamber I'd really like to talk about. I've even reposted it on my YouTube channel. Basically, this one girl who goes by the name True Femcell basically wrote in a depression chamber to Mumkey talking about how lonely she was and how she wanted to find love. The entire thing was very touching and I related a lot to it, watching it many times over. I'd never seen a story by a girl written in such a way. We would probably be good friends if we knew each other. And I even made a post on the Mumkey subreddit asking if she could contact me. Surprise, surprise, no response, but I didn't expect one. She, though it sounds weird to say this because she's a person, is like a symbol to me. Then I'm not the only one of my kind. There are others who are compatible as partners out there hidden. It's so sad that fucking everyone is a dumbass knucklehead that chases big titty dumb as rock girlfriend just because their friends told them so. Scratch that, it's a perfect match. They are both human slag. I'm also working on a book that's the sequel to the Triflers called The Triflers 2, Postal Men. I'm 255 pages in and it's about a domestic terrorist group who plans to shoot up 6 schools simultaneously while also continuing the original story. I'm always worried that no one's gonna buy it and Mumkey won't take notice, though I do plan to run an ad campaign, but who knows how effective it'll be. Even if it is effective, how long till the book is irrelevant? I guess I can sum myself up by saying still lonely as fuck, but getting used to it. Constant longings for a partner to cuddle, and writing an edgy yet thought-provoking book. If you are watching this, True Femcell, I wish you a good day and to hopefully find a boyfriend that you can feel fulfilled by. If you want to contact me, I'm active on Reddit. Sincerely, RedMoth27. P.S. Don Bracken did nothing wrong. So that's the end of that. If you're listening to this, True Femcell, please send some e-love my boy's way. He seems to need it. That clearly wasn't meant for this podcast. But I figured I'd read it all out anyways. It was surprisingly well written. Whenever that book comes out, throw a comment on one of my videos. I'll check it out. And I'll share it on Twitter. I'm sure it'll be good. Some other people might want to have a look too. Being one of the most smartest and self-aware kids in school sounds like a real chore, to be honest. I'm glad I never had to deal with that myself. Man, that school shooter obsession, it's bringing back some good old memories for me. I was kin to you back in my secondary school days. watching 2-hour based shaman videos of Randy Stayer's manifesto and shit like that. Actually, one of my failed art projects, of which there's many, was a school shooter dating simulator that I wanted to make. You know, where you go to school and Dylan Klebold and Swing Heat Show, all the boys, Eric Hart, Elliot Roger, they were all going to be there. It was going to be great, but I never did it. I think in the end they all just shot up to school together. Well, I didn't make it, so there wasn't really an end. Then I made a different visual novel where Nazi furries ruled the world and they reinstated slavery and got black people to be slaves, and you played a black person. The furries just called you a nigger a bunch, basically. And this was in college that I did this. This was 2 years ago. Man, I'm retarded just thinking about that. But I guess I'm not in much of a better place now. I probably should have just went through with that. I made like 15 minutes of gameplay. Maybe I'll release it for you guys someday. But anyways, I'll go on to the second email from another Mumkey fan. So if you're looking for your requisite dose of edge, don't worry, you'll be overdosing. Okay, so this one is titled Depression Chamber, the story of a retarded cuck. Alright, faggot, let's get this down. Don't read my email name or you're a cuck. Call me Jizzy. Anyways, where do I begin? This story will have 5 acts, each longer than the last. Then discuss what happened once it's finished. Act 1. I guess this started in about 7th grade when I just moved into my new school. I was the fat retarded kid trying to fit in with the crowd. At that time in my life I thought I was the smoothest fucker around, level 100 speech. Little did I know I was just some You thought you were the most self-aware, smartest kid in school. Little did I know I was just some unathletic dumbass who was trying too hard to be funny. Some examples of my comedy were asking literal brain-dead jokes / questions. One example would be, if you cum in your eye, do you get pink eye? That was the thing that started my autism. I wasn't being bullied physically, but people tried to degrade me using their shitty comments. But then I just one-upped them by calling them retarded, then walking away. I'd say that my choice in women was something you would call Simeon Jimmy disorder. My first goal was to find the biggest titties girl in my grade, then try to get them, brackets, remember, fat retard and no charisma. When I went in to go, the best I found was a C-cup, big-boobied woman, brackets, which now realizing that there were DD chicks, but that comes in later. Before you brigade me, no, the story will not include me going in-depth of the descriptions, as you'll get ass-rushed by the feds. Alright, so I'm talking to this girl, and I try to strike up conversation. It goes good. Turns out she doesn't have Snapchat, and I WTF'd and got her number. Alright. Looking back at this moment, she was ugly as fuck, but I was a horny man, and when I saw cleavage in gym and science, I had to go in. A few days go by, boom, I'm dating her. The one thing I remember most is that I absolutely hated her, and wanted to break up, but I had to see titty. I try to arrange a meetup after school in the sewer tunnels, but after class I hear some gossip that makes my pants look like Usain Bolt's records. Oh shit, she's a furry. I don't believe them, so I do some digging, and this is when I started to contemplate suicide. Oh shit, she is. Apparently her persona was a wolf, and she loved wolves and wrote stories and even planned on buying a fursuit. My plan was to break up with her on the spot, in the most genius way possible. That night on the bus home, I acted like I had to tell her a big secret, playing it to act like I was gonna say I love you. Bracket, fun fact, I never even said I liked her. Right when I had leaned into her ear, I spoke, I'm breaking up with you. Right when those words left their dark tomb, I expected to be cheered on, congratulated, and celebrated. Little to my expectations, she started crying, and multiple people a year younger than me started staring, realizing, I guess, what I have done. I start to feel horrible, sitting on my seat. Act 2. Now you might be saying, Jizzy, you retard. How do you not know she's a furry? Well, I'll tell you. I was in school for 3 days when we hooked up, and I already got ass fucked within a week. After this, I knew I needed to have a plan. I hated my school, so I wanted to try and have a group of ideas to be hated. The list was Number 1, force my fake religion onto everyone. Number 2, try and annoy everyone. Number 3, make the teacher want to commit suicide. Number 4, get a big-tittied woman to be my wife. In the end, only 2 of those happened, which you can assume which ones. So a month goes by, and I start making friends with a super religious Christian kid that wasn't vaccinated, and then a pimp. I eventually realized that my plan was failing, so I decided to just chill out, relax. Problem is though, I love talking, and that's bad for what will come up. One night in October, I'm riding the bus home when this girl a year younger than me looks at me and starts making conversation. At this time in my life, I plugged in my earbuds on my old ass iPhone 5 and contemplate suicide. So when a girl starts talking to me, I get a little horny and perk up. I make small conversation and she starts talking about how she has some friends in my grade. Can you guess who one of the people are? Well, it's the special woman I was with. I start thinking and knowing what would happen if she found out. I needed her to be silent. As I started talking to her only on the bus, we bring up sexual talk. She said she's never had a boyfriend, and that I was one of the first boys she's ever talked to. Now, during this year, I must have been slinging massive amounts of dope, because this girl was literally, no joke, retarded. She had that kind of droopy face, and if I can try, I'll send you a photo of her later. If I do not show on podcast. I would be humiliated and suicidal. Anyways, when we were finished talking as the bus stopped, she went and kissed me on the cheek, which made me shit my pants, as 2 girls younger than me stared. This went on every day, which slowly escalated from kisses on the cheek to a peck to after a week of full-on makeout session. Starting from this point, I'll be cutting parts out of this act, due for the safety of me and to spare humiliation. It went on until one day, where she told me something that shook my core. We started to get extra sexual on the bus, where I brought up my manly parts, where she told me that if she was ever bad, her dad would drink and then have sex with her. I was so fucked up that I didn't know how to react. I asked her in the most rice gum way possible if she didn't like it, and she said she did not care. I was destroyed and confused, and I was disgusted. I couldn't tell the teacher. That's a whole rumble I couldn't bring up, and if I did I would surely be in deep shit. But at the same time, if I didn't, I would have the guilt of not telling on me for the rest of my days. I decided that I couldn't do it. I had to stop this. And after that day I started riding a different bus, and I had to get out of there. I stopped talking to her for 2 weeks, and to me it worked. Winter break hit, and then shit got down. I decided to talk to her friend, which stuff happened. All I can say is she accused me of horrible shit, and I thought I would be arrested. After winter break, there came 2 girls who used to stare, who now spoke words. On my bus home, they started telling my sister everything I did, and I was humiliated. That was the driving point that made me skip everything. I couldn't have this happen. I decided to go back to my normal bus, and skipping through blackmail. I faced my demons and decided to try and become liked. Act 3, 4, and 5 will be turned in at a later date. I'm tired as fuck, so if you actually think this isn't ass, I'll continue. What will be expected? Getting cucked, stealing photos, and saving people from ODing. Yeah, okay. I don't know what the fuck I just read. Seems to be about the average Mumkey fan. So I guess I can accept this. Looking forward to parts 3, 4, and 5. So very interesting fact. In search of an answer to what the fuck I just read, I went back on Reddit to where I originally found the submitter, or previous contributor, and turns out his username is JazzyHands8. So, I guess we found the best friend of the guy from the first submission, which is very serendipitous. What a lovely coincidence. I mean, it all just tied together, which would make a great ending, except for the fact that it's not the ending of the episode, because we have another story to read. But I guess it is the ending of the Mumkey part of the episode, because the other contributor is someone that I actually know. I know them from the Incel Core SoundCloud community, which is where a bunch of people make punk rock music in their bedrooms about just wanting to kill themselves and women, on which I go by the name Girl Dog, but we will be reading the submission of Gay Loser. And check out their songs if you're interested in that kind of stuff. They've got some good shit. But anyways, let's get right into the autism shit snail podcast email thing. Honestly, this is probably going to be one of the more tame story things you're going to get. One of the least coherent ones, too. Once upon a time, a girl who thought herself a guy fancied another guy. Long and embarrassing story short, we e-dated before e-dating was a thing, and what little we had came to an end one afternoon, with the guy cutting all contact. Looking back on it even now, it was a total shit show through and through. We were essentially just a couple of gamer nerds that just happened to flirt with each other, except I was too black-pilled for him to handle. Brackets, that's fucking stupid, don't say that. This isn't even that relevant, it's been like 4 years since then. I'm kind of just writing out whatever sad shit comes to mind, which I find hard to do as the last few years have been pretty good to me. If the miserable, edgy schmuck that passed as me 4 years ago saw me now, I can't tell if they would be surprised by how I've managed to make things work somehow, or make jokes about the 40%. You know what? Fuck it. I guess we're getting pink-pilled in here. The whole trans thing kinda caught me by surprise, to be honest. Even now, more or less MacGyvering my way through it, changing my voice and all that gay stuff. I haven't come out to my family, much less actually get the fabled pills that turn you into a girl. It's weird. Sometimes I get very nonchalant about the whole ordeal, and other times it's a secret I'm better off taking to the mislabeled grave. I used to hate my own voice, even when I spent a year as a theater gay, saying dumb shit on stage with my people. I had an obsession with growing my hair out, but it'd be a long while before I actually learned how to take care of it somewhat properly. For whatever reason, the mental image of myself had pecs way bigger than the flat boards that they actually were, which really should have been a red flag then. I did actually try and get at least slightly fit, but I only really ended up embarrassing myself in my school's cross-country team. It's funny, out here I've met and often hung out with tons of e-girls, trans dudes, and just straight-up non-binary fuckers, but not one girl like me. Granted, I've just gone online and found a bunch of vaguely similar schmucks like me, but they're all over the world and shit, and noticing that trend in my neck of the woods stuck with me. Solidarity is nice from time to time. Ironically, I did end up starting the whole gay loser thing in a similar bid to find people like me. I'm not really sure how well that worked out in reality, but I at least appreciate the numbers I can stare at for dopamine. Hopefully in another 4 years the person that I'll be will have shit figured out, or at the very least have the e-girl camouflage on at all times. Well shit, that was a massive tone change from the Mumkey fans, which I guess I was expecting. Well, gay loser, that was a nice story for a change. Happy for you, for being happy and shit. And my rant for today is how hard it is to think of rants. And that's the whole rant. And that's the end of the podcast. So yeah, it was good monologuing to you guys. Goodbye.